Hello, this is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode.
Hi, this is Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, and you are listening to
Depeche Mode, the podcast, and I'm your host, Jon Justice. Thank you so much for checking out another episode this week. As always, if you want to email me, TalkShowNerd@gmail.com, or you can drop a comment if you happen to be enjoying this on YouTube. There is a video version of Depeche Mode, the podcast. No news. Everything is quiet out of the Depeche Mode camp as we head into the holidays. I really would have expected that we would hear of any before the end of the year releases by now, but so far things have been quiet relating to those 4 unreleased, fully produced tracks from Memento Mori or a physical version of the Memento Mori tour. So perhaps we need to be looking ahead to 2025. I did find something to share this week, and I have a question for you before I get into this article, as Lacuna Coil reflects back on their cover of Depeche Mode in an article that I found from the past week from Louder Sound. I did this a couple of years back, and I was thinking about it on the drive home, listening to Memento Mori and specifically Ghosts Again. I've talked on the show about my dear friend Drew, who I lost suddenly and unexpectedly in June of 2022. And of course, this was just a few months after we all lost Fletch in much the same way. And I remember during that time how I used Depeche Mode to deal with my grief in that moment. I was in the hospital going through my 3rd open heart surgery at the time. When Drew passed away, it was about 5 days out from my recovery while I was still in the hospital. And when I came home, I remember watching Depeche Mode, and specifically, was it one night? I think it was One Night in Paris was the concert that I had decided to go ahead and watch. And it became incredibly therapeutic for me at the time as I was grieving. Also, Ghosts Again was a song, being the first track off the album. The subject matter of the song, while it doesn't relate directly to losing my friend, I found solace in that track. And I still listen to Ghost Again on a daily basis. And every time I do, I think of my dear friend Drew. I've made mention many times on the show that I feel like that song is one of their best. I put it up there for me personally with Enjoy the Silence, which is another song that I adore greatly. When I was younger, of course, Depeche Mode meant a lot of different things, was relatable in a lot of different ways. And the song that really made me fall in love with the band, being Shake the Disease, was probably and is probably the song that, if you asked me, which song did you use sort of as therapy? And at a younger age, long before I got married, it was all about love. It was all about dating and finding that right person. And through that, a lot of breakups and heartbreaks on the receiving end far too many times, unfortunately. But Shake the Disease was the song that I related to the most in those circumstances, and the lyrics as well. So I was interested to hear from you. Drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com, or again, leave a comment up on YouTube. And I haven't heard a lot of these stories in a while, and I think when the podcast really started to take off in the run up to Memento Mori and shortly after, many of you were reaching out and telling me your stories of how you found Depeche Mode, and I think many of you had gone and shared your thoughts much in the same way of the question that I'm asking this week. But specifically, when was Depeche Mode therapy for you? At a young age or at an older age? And which songs mean the most to you, have the most sentimental value to your life? I really would be interested to know. So drop me an email or leave a comment up on YouTube. With that, as I do every single week, I sort of scour the internet to find if there's anything new that I can share with you, and I happen to find this article from Louder Sound. Lacuna Coil have reflected on the whirlwind success of their Depeche Mode Enjoy the Silence cover. The Italian goth metal icons look back in a new Metal Hammer video interview where they detail the 5 songs which define their career. As the single which brought the band to the mainstream attention in 2006, they naturally picked Enjoy the Silence as one entry. Co-vocalist Christina Scabbia reveals it was her idea for Lacuna Coil to attempt the cover. It started with me because I love Depeche Mode, she says. We were considering some covers we wanted to try. I remember Marco, our bass player, who writes the majority of our music, he wasn't really agreeing. He was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. But then he turned it in a way where it almost became one of our songs. She adds, it turned out so good that the actual band liked it. They gave us permission to do the video for it. In a 2009 interview, Dave Gahan publicly endorsed the cover, saying their interpretation left me genuinely impressed. It encapsulated a distinctive vibe I always hoped someone would bring to it. Scabbia and co-vocalist Andrea Ferro reacted to the backing in the Hammer video. We haven't met him yet, Ferrero smiles. We'd love to meet him one day just to thank him for the inspiration. It was a dream. We love you guys, and we can't wait to meet you, Scabbia adds with a gleam and a wave. Ferrero also reflects on the impact Enjoy the Silence had on Lacuna Coil's popularity, as it brought the band onto MTV and pop radio. It's the song that I think brought us outside the metal scene. He says, we were known at that point in the metal scene, but Enjoy the Silence is a song that everybody knows, even if they're not particularly into metal. He continues, it was on every MTV channel. MTV played it heavily, and not only on Headbangers Ball, a lot of radio, even in Italy. A lot of the radio that normally only pops up, that only plays pop music, would play the song. It's the song that put us on the map on a larger scale. Lacuna Coil recently released their 10th studio album, Sleepless Empire, and will come out via Century Media on February 14th. And listen, they're absolutely right. I had never heard of Lacuna Coil, and I actually worked in rock radio for, about 9 years in the first part of my radio career, and it was their cover of Enjoy the Silence that actually brought me to find out about Lacuna Coil, and it is a song that pops up quite often on my playlists. I don't particularly lean into Depeche Mode covers. I've talked about this before, much in the same way that I enjoy my Star Wars being canon, and not really into the Legends aspect of it. The kind of same thing rings true for Depeche Mode. We've talked about this with AI as of late, which has progressed quite a bit. Even since we first started talking about those AI creations by Andrea Fryer, those many, many months ago, you're seeing a lot more Depeche Mode AI interpretations pop up online. That being said, Lacuna Coil is one of those tracks that when it pops up on my, on shuffle, on any one of my playlists, it's one that I do not turn off. So I really enjoyed that piece, and it plays into, again, the question that I had for you this week, and I want to hear from you. What was your Depeche Mode therapy song when you were growing up or when you got older? All right, this brings us to your listener feedback. You guys are quiet this week. Not sure what's going on with that. Not a lot of email to share. I do have a few here. First, what are your 3 favorite DM B-sides and Gone song outside of DM and solo? Thanks from Chris Culpepper. So my 3 favorite DM B-sides. And what I did with this was I just immediately thought the first 3 tracks that came to my mind. Out of the gate, it's My Joy. My buddy Matt and I shared that affinity for that song. I listen to that song at least once, if not twice a week. To the point where I wish that My Joy had been included on Songs of Faith and Devotion. Next up would have to be Dangerous. Just an absolutely fantastic track. I love Sea of Sin as well, but Dangerous is an incredibly strong track. I understand why they didn't include a non-Violator. I don't think that it would have fit. I feel like Violator in its 9 tracks is perfect in the songs that they chose, but Dangerous is an absolutely fantastic song. When it came to the third one, it was Ghost. I really like that song. There's a menacing and seductive aspect to that Sounds of the Universe B-side, and I just really, really enjoy that track. Light, too. Both of those tracks I would have easily swapped out with, say, a track like Fragile Tension or Hole to Feed off of Sounds of the Universe. And then the Gone song outside of DM, I'd have to go with Saw Something. I've mentioned that before. That is an incredibly strong track, and one that I wish had been included, that Dave had included to turn into a Depeche Mode song. Because of all his songs, I feel like Saw Something was one that if Martin had been included in the production of that track, it could have really made it even something more special than it is. That being said, it is truly an amazing song in my opinion. If you care to answer Chris Culpepper's question, your three favorite B-sides and Gone song outside of DM and solo, again, drop me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com, or leave a comment up on YouTube. Next, Sherry Bell 1501 writes, OMG, I love the comparison of Dave to Freddie Mercury. They are my all-time favorite two frontmen. Truly, the gods of the stage. Will never be anyone else like them. Listen, and that wraps up the show for this week. I know, it's a short one. May have been the shortest one yet, but not a lot going on in the world of DM. There's a lot going on in my world right now, and I've been incredibly busy, which is why I didn't have more time to prepare something more extensive on today's show. But just know that coming in the new year, I've got a lot of exciting things planned for the podcast. So, a short pod today, but I hope that you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And if you want to support my nerd world and you enjoy reading science fiction, I hope you'll take a moment and check out my science fiction space opera series, EMBARK. As Earth faces its end, follow pilots Taft, Katha, and their crew on a journey of survival across the galaxy as they fight for humanity's future. It's a fast-paced and action-packed science fiction adventure available in ebook, Kindle Unlimited, hardcover, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon.com. Just search for EMBARK and Jon, Jon Justice. Thank you so much for spending some time listening to me talk about Depeche Mode, and I look forward to hearing from you. TalkShowNerd@gmail.com, or leave a comment up on YouTube. Until next week, I hope wherever you are, you're happy, you're healthy, and you're safe. I'll talk to you then. Bye. God bless.
Hello, this is Martin Gore from Depeche Mode.
Hi, this is Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, and you are listening to
Depeche Mode, the podcast.